Watch out for walks. This exercise will cure your poor circulation in 3 days. And it's surgeon approved. Do you believe that walking every day is enough to keep your body strong and healthy after 60? What if a renowned surgeon told you that might not be enough and that there's something way better? There's a type of movement that can activate deep muscles, protect your joints, and even reverse the stiffness that builds up over time. It can be done with no impact, no equipment, and it can completely change the way your body ages. In this episode, you'll find out why so many people who consider themselves active still suffer from pain, weakness, and fatigue, and how that can be avoided with simple adjustments to your routine. You'll also learn a secret from the other side of the world, a powerful routine, strategic foods, and a surprising habit that gets your body ready even while you sleep. So welcome to another episode of the HealEssence channel podcast. Dr. Tanaka, starting with the basics, a lot of people over 60 say, I walk a lot, so I'm active. But you often say there's an invisible danger that even daily walkers might be ignoring. What exactly happens in the body when we stop moving beyond moderate walking?
Yeah, that idea that walking is enough is a trap. Once we hit our 60s, muscle loss, sarcopenia, speeds up. If we don't stimulate our muscles with some intensity, we start losing fast-twitch muscle fibers, the ones most important for quick strength, balance, climbing stairs. Even people who walk every day, without any extra effort, don't really activate those deep fibers. It's a nice, gentle stimulus, but not enough to maintain muscular integrity.
Interesting. So it's not just about staying active, but what kind of movement you're doing. And what about circulation? A lot of people believe walking already takes care of that.
Circulation does get affected. Between the veins and arteries, light movement helps a bit, but it doesn't trigger deep venous pumping, which depends on strong muscle contractions. Without that, fluids build up in the legs, microdamage occurs in the vessel walls, and tissue perfusion goes down. In practical terms, tired legs, swelling, and even poorer nutrient delivery to muscles that are already weakened.
So even people who think they're taking care of themselves by walking daily might be suffering this silent damage. How do you explain that internal effect that we often don't notice day to day?
Exactly. Because those deficiencies happen inside the body. Deep muscle fibers, tiny blood vessels, cellular mitochondria. It's not something you feel right away. Over time, you start noticing aches, fatigue, difficulty standing up or climbing stairs, and you assume it's normal for your age. But it shouldn't happen so soon. Functional sedentarism speeds up internal aging.
You mentioned functional sedentarism. What does that mean exactly compared to being completely sedentary?
Functional sedentarism means you do minimal activity. You walk, do light chores, but you never push your body beyond its comfort zone. That doesn't trigger adaptation. The body needs controlled tension on muscles, bones, joints to stay strong. So paradoxically, many older adults who think they're active are still functionally sedentary because they rarely challenge themselves with any effort beyond the usual.
That makes sense. And what's the earliest warning sign we should watch out for we're in that invisible risk zone?
The signs are subtle. Slight weakness when walking uphill, some instability when turning your body, tired legs after standing for a while. Also aches that appear for no reason, or that heavy leg feeling. When ignored, these signs show that your muscles are losing their functional reserve.
So it's not about waiting for pain or injury to show up. The idea is to prevent it with better stimulation before your body starts complaining.
Exactly. And that's why in this episode we'll show not just this invisible danger, but an exercise that overcomes it. One that's easy on the joints but still activates those deep muscles we talked about. Want to start unlocking that mechanism together in the next chapter?
Dr. Tanaka, after what we just talked about, I've been thinking walking has always been a synonym for health. We see news stories, medical recommendations, even studies saying that walking 10,000 steps a day prevents disease. So why do you say walking might not be enough after 60? Is there something we're misunderstanding?
Walking is great for your cardiovascular system and your mood. No question about it. The problem is, as we age, our bodies change. Metabolism slows down, muscle response weakens, and the benefits of walking alone start to fade. After 60, we need to challenge the body in different ways, with exercises that engage deep muscle fibers, joints, and balance, things that regular walking doesn't do with enough intensity.
So the body basically gets used to that type of movement and stops improving from it?
Exactly. Our body is a system of constant adaptation. Walking is great for someone who was sedentary, but once it becomes routine, your body stops being challenged. The result is stagnation in muscle strength and respiratory capacity. It's like the body says, "Okay, I know how to do this, no need to get better." And that's when we start aging on the inside, even while keeping seemingly healthy habits.
That makes total sense. It's like training your brain. It only grows when it's challenged. So with the body, we need to give it new stimuli, right?
Exactly. And here's the cool part. There are very simple ways to make walking more effective, without turning it into something harsh. For example, adding short uphill intervals, using small hand weights, or doing what's called mindful walking, where you tighten your abs, keep your posture upright, and sync your breathing. That completely changes the exercise's impact.
So it's not about giving up walking, but adjusting it so it really works as a complete workout.
Exactly. And for people over 60, the ideal thing is to combine it with resistance movements, like isometric contractions, bodyweight exercises, or oriental practices that focus on breathing and balance. That combination stimulates the fibers that prevent falls, improve bone density, and keep posture upright, even at older ages.
There's a funny myth. A lot of people believe avoiding effort protects the joints. But you say it's actually the opposite, right?
Yes, that's one of the biggest misconceptions. Controlled, consistent movement is what actually lubricates the joints. Staying still is what causes stiffness. Of course, I'm not talking about high impact. I mean mindful strength, like contracting muscles while breathing deeply, which activates the lymphatic system and joint circulation. The human body was made to move, and the more balanced the movement, the younger it stays.
That completely changes how we see it. Walking can stay enjoyable, but now with purpose and strategy. And that's what you're going to show us in the next chapters, right?
Yes. Next we'll talk about a very common mistake among active people who think they're exercising correctly, but without realizing it, they're actually increasing their risk of pain and inflammation in their legs. That's a key point before we show the exercise that replaces traditional walking.
Dr. Tanaka, many of our podcast listeners are people who consider themselves active. They go for walks, garden, go to the market on foot, but you've warned that there's a very common mistake made by these active seniors. What mistake is that which, despite good intentions, can end up causing pain or even inflammation?
The mistake lies in repeating the same movements over and over, almost always in a straight line. Most people walk or do chores along one single axis, forward and backward. Over time, that causes muscle imbalance. Some muscles are overused while others are barely used at all. That imbalance creates tension in the joints, especially the knees and ankles, which can lead to inflammation and chronic pain.
So even if you're active, if your movement variety is low, your body still builds up small injuries over time?
Exactly. The human body was made to move in multiple directions, rotate, bend, stretch sideways. When someone just walks every day at the same pace, they don't engage the stabilizing muscles, like the deep glutes, pelvic muscles, and lateral abs. That not only reduces balance, it also puts pressure on joints that end up compensating for the lack of muscle support.
That explains why so many people develop pain on the outside of the knee or in their heels without ever having an injury, right?
Yes, and the funny thing is it happens mostly to people who are proud of being active. I had a 67-year-old patient who walked every day in the park for 40 minutes. She had never done any stretching or hip exercises. She started feeling knee pain and thought it was just age. In reality, it was tension built up from years of repetitive motion and lack of stabilizing muscle strength.
Amazing how this kind of mystery pain is often just the body asking for variety, huh? What do you usually suggest in those cases?
First, Recognize the pattern. Then add lateral movements, gentle trunk rotations, small supported squats. Something I teach a lot is walking sideways for a few minutes, like you're opening your stride to the side. It activates muscles we almost never use. And for those with space, dancing slowly at home is a fun way to break that repetitive pattern.
I love that idea of walking sideways. It sounds too simple to make a difference, but it hits exactly where we need it, right?
Exactly. Small changes in movement patterns make a big difference. And most importantly, they help preserve the body so it stays active for years to come. But if someone ignores those signs and keeps repeating the same motions, they can end up injured even from light activity.
That's an important lesson. Too much movement in the same way is like eating the same thing every day. It lacks variety and balance. And that's exactly what you saw working well in Japanese villages, right? We'll talk about that next.
Yes, the next chapter is about a simple, ancient practice very common in long-lived Japanese villages. It activates exactly the muscles we lose with age. And the best part is, it can be done in less than 5 minutes a day.
Dr. Tanaka, Japan is known for having one of the longest living populations in the world, and some villages in particular have become symbols of vitality. What do these communities do differently in terms of movement that helps so much in preserving muscle as the years go by?
Those villages practice something called radio taiso, which translates to radio exercise. It's a short sequence of coordinated movements, traditionally done to music broadcast on Japanese radio since the post-war era. The movements are simple: bending, rotations, arm lifts, and small squats, done with rhythmic breathing. It may look silly at first, but it has a deep effect on maintaining mobility and awakening the body's muscles every day.
Interesting how something so accessible and even playful can have real impact. But what's the secret behind these simple movements?
The secret is consistency, movement variety, and activating forgotten muscles. Radio taiso includes lateral bends that engage the core, heel lifts that strengthen the calves, and gentle twists that mobilize the spine. It's done slowly, with attention to breathing. These small stimuli activate the deep musculature and maintain proprioception, that body awareness in space that prevents falls.
It's like a morning workout that wakes up the whole body. And the fact that it's done in groups in parks or schools also seems to help with motivation, right?
Absolutely. The social aspect is a positive reinforcement. But what's most interesting is that many seniors who do radio taiso every day maintain functional strength for decades. I've seen people over 90 who still wash clothes in the river, tend gardens, carry baskets. And they don't go to gyms. They just move with awareness and regularity every single day.
Amazing. And it sounds like something anyone could easily adapt to their own routine. You can do it in the living room, on the balcony, in the backyard.
Exactly. And you don't have to follow the exact traditional sequence. What matters is the philosophy behind it, waking up the body with varied, slow movements coordinated with breathing. I usually suggest a short sequence that I teach my patients. Raise your arms while inhaling, lower them while exhaling. Roll your shoulders, bend your body gently to the sides. It takes 3 minutes and changes the rest of your day.
I imagine this practice also brings some mental benefit, right? Starting the day focused on your body, on the air going in and out.
Yes. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which reduces morning anxiety, regulates heartbeat, and prepares the brain for focus. Physically, it wakes up the muscles and joints. So, if someone does this type of exercise right after waking, it reduces the risk of stiffness, imbalance, and those morning falls that are so dangerous after 60.
I love that. It's like saying good morning to your body before starting your real day. And for those who want to strengthen further, you also talk about the importance of certain foods at breakfast. Shall we get into that now?
Definitely. In the next chapter, I'll explain why including banana, oats, and pumpkin seeds first thing in the morning can transform your energy and protect your muscle mass throughout life.
Dr. Tanaka, in the last chapter, you talked about waking up the body with mindful movement. But beyond movement, there's the part that fuels those muscles, and I know you put a lot of emphasis on breakfast. Why is it so crucial for people over 60 who want to preserve strength and avoid muscle loss?
Because muscles need amino acids and energy early in the day to stay active and regenerate. During the night, we spend hours fasting, which naturally lowers glucose levels and circulating protein availability. If we start the day with a poor breakfast, the body begins to break down even more muscle tissue for energy. That's why breakfast should be functional, simple, but nutritious and focused on maintaining strength.
And what do you usually suggest? I've heard you have a special combo that includes banana, oats, and pumpkin seeds. How does that work in practice?
That combo is powerful and easy. The banana provides potassium and moderate-release energy. Oats bring fiber and complex carbs that sustain the body through the morning. Pumpkin seeds are packed with magnesium, iron, zinc, and protein. Together, they support muscle protein synthesis, nourish the nervous system, and improve recovery after any kind of exercise, even the lightest ones.
And it's easy to fit into your daily life, right? I imagine you recommend something simple like a bowl or oatmeal.
Exactly. What I do personally and recommend is to mash a banana, add rolled oats and a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds. You can pour a bit of warm plant milk or hot water if you want a softer texture. It's quick, tasty, and gives your body everything it needs to start the day building, not breaking down muscle.
And some people still think only animal protein can do that, right? But nature offers many plant sources that work really well.
Yes, and especially for older adults, digestibility is key. Too much animal protein on an empty stomach can cause gastric discomfort. These plant sources are light, easy to digest, and also provide antioxidants that fight free radicals, another factor that accelerates muscle degradation with age. And of course, if you want to complement it, a small portion of plain yogurt or kefir can be added with no problem.
It's amazing how such a simple meal can become a tool for muscle preservation, right? And I know you also talk a lot about what to do at night to prepare the body for the next day. Can we get into that now?
Sure. In the next chapter, I'll explain how a nighttime habit involving avocado oil and turmeric can help reduce inflammation and lubricate the joints, greatly improving how you feel when you wake up.
Dr. Tanaka, now let's talk about the end of the day. After 60, many people wake up with stiffness, like their body is rusted. You often say that what we do at night can directly influence how we feel in the morning. What's behind that idea?
During sleep, the body enters regeneration mode. However, if there are active inflammatory processes, common in aging joints, regeneration becomes partial and slow. That explains morning stiffness. A simple habit I teach is taking a natural mix of avocado oil and turmeric about an hour before bed. This combo works through the night, reducing silent inflammation and helping lubricate the joints during rest.
Wow! And how did you come up with that specific combination? I imagine it's not just tradition, but there's science behind it too.
Yes, both tradition and science. Avocado oil is rich in monounsaturated fats and phytonutrients with mild anti-inflammatory effects, and it's very well tolerated by mature bodies. Turmeric contains curcumin, a bioactive compound with well-studied anti-inflammatory properties. When used together, especially with a pinch of black pepper to improve curcumin absorption, they form a powerful synergy for joint and muscle tissues.
And the preparation? People always ask, but how exactly do I take this? Is it something that needs complicated recipes?
Not at all. Here's what I usually do. Take a teaspoon of avocado oil, put it in a small glass, add a generous pinch of turmeric powder and a light pinch of black pepper. Mix well and drink it straight, or sometimes with a bit of warm water to soften the flavor. It takes less than a minute to make before brushing your teeth and heading to bed. And the difference, over time, is very noticeable.
I imagine it's not something miraculous overnight, but more of a continuous care routine that builds up, right?
Exactly. Generally, my patients start noticing less stiffness and reduced joint pain within 2 to 3 weeks. The key is consistency. And there's more. This nightly habit also promotes deeper sleep, since it reduces microinflammation that interferes with the body's relaxation. And good sleep is essential for keeping muscles and joints working well.
That makes perfect sense. The body needs a clean terrain to repair itself while sleeping. And starting the day with mobility, everything flows better. And now we get to the most anticipated part of the episode, right?
Yes. In the next chapter, I'll reveal the exercise I consider the most complete for anyone over 60. It activates the whole body, requires zero impact, and can even be done while sitting. It's a contraction and breathing movement that transforms how the body ages.
Dr. Tanaka, we've reached the most anticipated part, the exercise you recommend as superior to traditional walking. A movement that, according to you, activates the entire body without straining the joints. Can you tell us how it works and why it's so effective?
Of course. This exercise combines isometric contraction and deep breathing. What makes it special is that it activates the deep layers of muscle, especially the core, the center of strength and balance in the body. It can be done sitting or standing, and it doesn't require any equipment. The focus is on contracting the whole body, as if trying to pull yourself inward, while inhaling deeply and holding for a few seconds.
So it involves muscle tension, but no external movement. That's what we call isometric contraction, right? Why is that so important for people over 60?
Exactly right. Isometric contraction is safe because it doesn't involve impact or displacement, and it activates muscle fibers that usually stay asleep during common movements. By holding the contraction with mindful breathing, you increase muscle tone, improve posture, strengthen the abdominal area, and also stimulate the lymphatic system, essential for internal cleansing and reducing inflammation.
And how is it done, practically speaking? Let's imagine someone listening right now, sitting at home. How can they try this exercise?
Here's how. Sit up straight, feet flat on the floor. Inhale deeply through your nose while tightening your abs, glutes, thighs, and arms, as if preparing for effort but without moving. Hold your breath for 3 seconds while keeping the body contracted. Then exhale slowly through your mouth and relax completely. This can be repeated 5 to 8 times. It seems simple, but the accumulated effect is deep.
It's almost like an active meditation, isn't it? It works the body while calming the mind and improving breathing.
Yes, exactly. This exercise increases body awareness. Many people go through the day without realizing how they're sitting, walking, or breathing. When you do this kind of practice, you regain control of your own body. And more than that, it improves tissue oxygenation and stimulates cellular energy production. It's especially useful for people with chronic pain, since it doesn't strain the joints.
And you usually recommend this daily? Is there a best time or ideal frequency?
Twice a day is ideal. Once in the morning to activate the body, and once in the afternoon or early evening to release accumulated tension. The most important thing is consistency. Over time, the body responds with more vitality, stability, and endurance. This is one of the habits that make the biggest difference for my patients over 60, even in cases of advanced muscle weakness.
Incredible. And now that we've covered the exercise, the nutrition, and the habits, we're missing the final step, the perfect combination to keep those muscles eternal, as you like to say.
Yes, in the next chapter, we'll bring it all together. The exercise, a specific drink with hydrolyzed collagen and orange juice, and how this routine can keep muscles and joints young for much longer.
Dr. Tanaka, throughout this conversation, we've explored many paths to maintaining vitality after 60. We talk about muscles, joints, nutrition, breathing. But there's one element behind all of that, constantly circulating, silent, yet absolutely essential: blood. I'd like to wrap this talk up with a thought-provoking question. Is it true that blood can rejuvenate the body?
Yes, it's true. But not in the way most people imagine. It's not about transfusions or miraculous therapies. Blood rejuvenates when it flows freely, strongly, with purpose. It's what carries oxygen that gives life to cells, delivers nutrients to muscles, removes toxins. A well-irrigated body is a body that regenerates faster, feels less pain, moves more lightly.
So if blood flow is slow, we feel heaviness and fatigue, right? But when it flows well, even our mood improves.
Exactly. And that becomes even more important as we age. After 60, blood vessels can lose elasticity, and pressure in the extremities tends to drop. Then come cold feet, nighttime cramps, dry skin. But with the right habits, that can be reversed. Movements like the one we discussed in the previous chapter, active contraction combined with deep breathing, are powerful for reactivating deep circulation.
It's funny how sometimes we look for such complex solutions when the body just needs space to flow. Is there a simple practice you recommend for improving circulation in daily life?
Yes. One I really like is walking barefoot, even at home, while lightly raising the heels in rhythm with the breath. That activates the calf muscle pump, which acts like a second heart. Another powerful practice is self-massage. Simply press gently along the legs, from ankle to knee, with slow movements always toward the heart. And of course, constant hydration.
And there's also the effect of breathing, right? The deeper and more mindful it is, the more oxygen we take in, and the more the blood carries that energy throughout the body.
Exactly. Breathing is the beginning of everything. It changes the blood's pH, relaxes the vessels, improves venous return. That's why the simple act of inhaling mindfully, holding for a moment, and exhaling slowly can be a valuable circulatory stimulus. Doing that several times a day literally wakes up the body from the inside.
That changes how we see health. Because it's not just about muscles or joints, it's about what nourishes all of that from within. The blood that feeds, warms, moves, and rejuvenates.
Exactly. If there's one thing that keeps the body young, it's lively circulation. Blood that flows freely carries health to every corner of the organism. And the good news is that this doesn't depend on age. It depends on the attention we give our body every day.
Wonderful, doctor. With that powerful image of blood that rejuvenates when it finds space to flow, we'll wrap up this talk with you. Thank you so much for sharing such practical, accessible, and transformative wisdom.
It's been a joy to be here. I hope everyone listening can put at least one of these practices into action, because the body responds, always.
And for you who stayed with us until now, don't go anywhere. The video isn't over yet. I'm still going to show you how to turn these tips into a complete, simple routine adapted to your daily life. There's more coming, including the best time to do Dr. Tanaka's exercise and what to avoid if you feel numbness in your legs or swelling in your feet. So don't go away. In the next few minutes, I'll be with you step by step. Let's turn all this into action together. Number 10. Ultra-processed milk and dairy products. Dr. Tanaka always emphasizes that the way food is processed can turn something seemingly healthy into a real villain for the body. And that's exactly what happens with many types of milk and dairy products found on store shelves. Nowadays, most dairy products sold on a large scale are far from being natural options. The excessive industrialization seriously compromises the nutritional quality of these foods, turning them into real inflammatory agents, especially harmful for those over 60. The problem isn't the milk itself, but what it carries after going through aggressive industrial processes. Hormones, antibiotic residues, thickeners, preservatives, and stabilizers are just some of the elements that can be present. These substances not only overload the liver and kidneys, but also increase inflammation in the body, something extremely damaging to joints and connective tissues, which naturally become more fragile with age. Another critical point is the hidden sugar in many dairy derivatives, such as flavored yogurts and milk drinks. These products, though they appear healthy, often contain high amounts of glucose, fructose, or artificial sweeteners that disrupt metabolism and sabotage blood sugar control. In an older body, that sugar load triggers insulin spikes, metabolic resistance, and abdominal fat gain, exactly what you want to avoid to maintain energy and mobility. In addition, many people over 60 develop some level of lactose intolerance without realizing it. The symptoms, bloating, gas, abdominal pain, or general discomfort, are often attributed to aging or other factors. But in reality, the continuous consumption of ultra-processed milk can silently impair digestion and the absorption of essential nutrients such as calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D. As a consequence, the risk of osteopenia, muscle weakness, and even falls increases. But this isn't about prohibition, it's about smart substitution. Instead of consuming processed milk and its artificial derivatives, you can choose cleaner, less industrialized versions. Natural yogurt, quality fermented cheeses, additive-free plant-based milk, or even small amounts of organic butter are safer, more nutritious choices. The key is always to read labels carefully and avoid formulas with long lists of unrecognizable ingredients. Remember, what you consume daily has a direct impact on your muscle tone, joint function, and even your mood. Avoiding these ultra-processed dairy products is a decision that goes far beyond digestion. It resonates throughout your entire body, offering more lightness, less pain, and much more vitality to live well. Number 9. Margarine and vegetable spreads. After everything Dr. Tanaka explained about the inflammatory impact of diet, it's clear that some ingredients deserve extra attention. One of the biggest examples is margarine and vegetable spreads, products created as supposed alternatives to butter, but that hide a concerning chemistry behind their smooth texture and pleasant taste. If you still include these foods in your routine, especially after 60, it may be time to urgently rethink that choice. The base of most margarines and vegetable spreads lies in artificial fats, more specifically, the dreaded trans fats. They're produced through the hydrogenation of vegetable oils, a process that alters the fat structure to make it more stable and longer-lasting on shelves. But the price your body pays for that durability is steep. These inflammatory fats settle in tissues, disrupt cellular function, and directly affect joint flexibility and cardiovascular health. Another rarely discussed aspect is the effect these fats have on the cell membrane. Over time, the body starts replacing good fats with these artificial versions, which compromises cellular communication and disrupts key processes like muscle regeneration and joint protection. It's no exaggeration to say that when you eat margarine, you're literally trading your body's health for something that could easily be avoided. And there's more. These artificial fats interfere with the production of prostaglandins, substances involved in the body's inflammatory response. The imbalance caused by frequent consumption contributes to persistent pain, morning stiffness, and greater vulnerability to injury. If you already feel weaker muscles or notice that your flexibility isn't the same, the problem might not be age, but your fake butter. The good news is that there are real, much healthier alternatives. Real butter, especially that made from the milk of grass-fed animals, is rich in nutrients like vitamin K2 and beneficial fatty acids. Extra virgin olive oil is also an excellent option for spreading on bread or finishing dishes. And for those who prefer a plant-based alternative, mashed avocado provides good fats, a mild flavor, and zero chemicals. Don't be fooled by labels like light, cholesterol-free, or with omega-3. Those terms are often used to disguise highly processed products. The body, especially after 60, needs natural fats that nourish and protect. Replacing margarine with real fat sources can be one of the most powerful decisions you make for your joint, muscle, and metabolic health. Number 8. Alcohol, even in small but frequent amounts. Dr. Tanaka often says the problem with alcohol isn't just about large quantities, but how often it shows up in our lives. And that's a silent trap, especially for those over 60. A glass of wine here, a beer there, a little liqueur after dinner, all that, added up over weeks, can have a far greater negative impact than you might think, especially when it comes to muscle mass, cell regeneration, and sleep quality. Alcohol directly interferes with muscle protein synthesis, meaning it reduces the body's ability to use protein to build and maintain muscle. That's serious for anyone in a stage of life where natural muscle loss accelerates. Even if someone exercises or eats a protein-rich diet, alcohol can sabotage all that effort. The result is a weaker body, more vulnerable to falls and injuries. Another major impact of frequent alcohol consumption is on sleep. Although many people think drinking helps them relax, what it really does is disrupt deep sleep cycles, the ones responsible for true recovery. Without quality sleep, the body can't regenerate properly, muscles don't repair, and the immune system weakens. It's like starting every day with half a battery. The liver also takes a serious hit. This organ processes alcohol, but as we age, its efficiency declines. That means alcohol's toxic effects last longer in the body. Besides overloading the liver, alcohol also increases oxidative stress, fueling silent inflammation throughout the body, which manifests as joint pain, muscle stiffness, and fatigue during the day. Then there's dehydration, a factor often overlooked. Alcohol is a diuretic, and when the body loses more fluids than it should, symptoms like fatigue, joint pain, and cramps appear. An older body needs constant hydration to keep vital functions steady, especially those related to muscle tone and joint lubrication. And in that sense, alcohol acts like a true energy thief. If drinking is part of your routine, you don't have to quit entirely. Just rethink the frequency and the reasons behind it. Replacing alcohol with relaxing teas, natural juices, or even water infused with herbs can help maintain the social or relaxing ritual without compromising your health. Sometimes a small habit change can lead to a huge boost in energy, mental clarity, and muscle strength. Number 7. Excess coffee or caffeinated beverages. One thing Dr. Tanaka always stresses is that not every popular habit is harmless, and excessive caffeine consumption is a perfect example. For many people, coffee means energy, focus, and productivity. But when consumption goes beyond healthy limits, especially after 60, the effects can be the exact opposite: chronic fatigue, muscle loss, and even reduced absorption of key nutrients. What starts as an innocent habit can turn into a silent saboteur of your well-being. When consumed in large amounts, caffeine increases oxidative stress in the body. That means more free radicals attacking cells and speeding up aging. For someone who's already naturally facing slower cell regeneration with age, that extra stress is the last thing the body needs. Plus, it promotes subtle inflammation that directly affects the joints and slows muscle recovery after any physical effort. Another serious impact of excessive caffeine intake is on the absorption of essential minerals like calcium, magnesium, and iron. These nutrients are vital for strong bones, firm muscles, and a healthy nervous system. Caffeine acts as a partial blocker of these minerals, especially when coffee is consumed with meals. Over time, that can lead to muscle weakness, cramps, and even osteopenia, even if your diet seems balanced. And what about sleep? Even if you say you sleep well despite coffee, studies show that deep sleep quality drops with high caffeine intake even when consumed early in the day. The body may fall asleep, but it doesn't reach the most restorative sleep stages, which directly affects the production of anabolic hormones essential for muscle health. Waking up tired, sore, or feeling unrest can have a direct link to caffeine overload. Remember, too, that caffeine isn't just in coffee. Many dark teas, sodas, energy drinks, and even chocolate contain it. The problem is cumulative: a cup here, a can there, a dessert later, and the body is constantly in alert mode, never having time to rest or rebuild properly. For those already working to preserve energy and muscle tone, that constant stress is harmful. But that doesn't mean you have to give up coffee entirely. The key is balance. Reducing daily intake, avoiding it in the late afternoon, and occasionally choosing decaf versions can be a great start. Replacing one of your cups with a calming tea or nutrient-rich herbal infusion can also help your body find a new, lighter rhythm, one that supports longevity. Sometimes less caffeine is exactly what you need for more vitality. Number 6. Processed cookies and packaged snacks. Dr. Tanaka is very direct when it comes to ultra-processed foods. They don't nourish you, they just take up space on your plate and in your body. And among the worst for people over 60 are processed cookies and the famous packaged snacks. Colorful, crunchy, full of artificial flavor, and often addictive, these products are a true trap for muscle strength, metabolic health, and the body's inflammatory balance. The biggest enemy here is trans fat. Found in many of these foods, it's artificially created to increase crunchiness and shelf life, but its effect on the body is devastating. These fats lodge in tissues and inflame cells, damaging joints, muscles, and even cognition. It's been proven that continuous consumption of these substances accelerates cellular aging and slows muscle regeneration, which is already naturally reduced after 60. In addition, these products are sugar bombs in disguise. Even when they don't taste sweet, processed snacks and cookies often use glucose syrup, maltodextrin, or other artificial sweeteners to enhance flavor. These ingredients disrupt metabolism, cause blood sugar spikes, and promote abdominal fat accumulation. For anyone trying to maintain a healthy weight and muscle mass, that's a dangerous combination. Chemical additives are another serious problem. Preservatives, colorants, flavor enhancers like monosodium glutamate alter satiety perception and stimulate appetite artificially. That means the more you eat, the more you want to keep eating. The result is excessive consumption of empty calories that don't nourish or strengthen, and even take the place of real, important foods. Another little discussed side effect is the impact of these foods on the digestive system. Highly processed, low-fiber ingredients harm gut health, affect microbiota balance, and reduce nutrient absorption. Over time, that can trigger a cascade of problems: less energy production, more frequent joint pain, and even mood swings. It's as if the body slowly loses its ability to stay balanced. But there's a way out, and it starts with small swaps. Replacing processed snacks with natural nuts, additive-free dried fruits, or homemade whole-grain cookies already makes a huge difference. The goal is to break free from the addiction to industrial convenience and rediscover the joy of eating in a simple, real, and nourishing way. Your body will thank you with more energy, lightness, and a far greater capacity to stay strong over time. Number 5. Soft drinks, even the zero ones. Dr. Tanaka doesn't hesitate to classify soft drinks as one of the greatest silent threats to health, especially after the age of 60. And that includes the zero or diet versions that many people believe are harmless. The truth is that these drinks, regardless of their calorie content, directly interfere with the absorption of essential minerals, compromising vital functions such as muscle mass maintenance, bone density, and metabolic balance. The first major problem lies in the added phosphates commonly found in soft drink formulas. When consumed in excess, these substances throw off the balance between calcium and phosphorus in the body. The result is a direct impact on bone health, as the body begins to lose calcium in an attempt to compensate for the excess phosphorus in the blood. At a stage of life when bones are already more fragile, this can accelerate the risk of osteoporosis and fractures, even in everyday situations. In addition, many soft drinks contain caffeine, and as we've already seen, this compound can hinder the absorption of magnesium and calcium, two minerals essential for muscle contraction and proper joint function. That means more pain, less strength, and greater muscle fatigue, even without intense activity. What should be a simple, refreshing drink ends up becoming a real obstacle to vitality. The sugar-free versions are no less dangerous. They might not raise blood glucose, but they contain artificial sweeteners like aspartame and sucralose, which negatively affect gut flora. An imbalanced microbiota interferes with nutrient absorption, reduces serotonin production, and even affects the immune system. It's a domino effect. A sugar-free soft drink can trigger chronic inflammation, loss of muscle tone, and even mood changes. Another concerning point is regular consumption. Even in small amounts, drinking soft drinks daily or with every meal gradually builds up harmful effects in the body. Phosphoric acid, found mainly in cola drinks, also contributes to bone demineralization. Have you noticed how some people feel weaker over time, even without an apparent reason? The answer might be in the glass that accompanies their lunch. If drinking soda has become a habit, it's worth looking for more natural and less harmful replacements. Sparkling water with lemon, chilled herbal infusions, or diluted natural juices are good alternatives to keep refreshment without compromising health. The idea is to keep the pleasure of drinking something tasty, but with awareness of the long-term effects. Your body, your muscles, and your bones will respond with more strength, balance, and energy. Number 4. Refined vegetable oils, soy, canola, corn. Dr. Tanaka has already explained that not all fats are bad for your health, but when it comes to refined vegetable oils like soy, canola, and corn, the story changes completely. These oils, common in modern kitchens, hide a range of dangers, especially for those trying to preserve strong muscles, healthy joints, and a more resilient body after 60. They're cheap, versatile, and widely used in the food industry, precisely because they last long. And that's where the problem begins. During the refining process, these oils are exposed to high temperatures, chemical solvents, and bleaching agents. This destroys almost all their natural nutrients and creates oxidized compounds that are highly inflammatory. When consumed frequently, they hinder tissue regeneration, overload the liver, and make the body's internal environment more prone to chronic inflammation, one of the main causes of joint pain and muscle loss. Another critical issue is the imbalance between omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids. Refined vegetable oils are loaded with omega-6, which, in excess, promotes silent inflammation and prevents efficient muscle recovery. A mature body needs more balance and anti-inflammatory support, not more elements that hinder cellular repair and raise the risk of metabolic disease. Have you ever felt swollen or sore for no clear reason? It might be a reflection of these oils. Moreover, these oils are often used for frying, and when heated, they form free radicals that damage tissues, reduce joint elasticity, and speed up cellular aging. Even when food looks crispy and light, the damage is there, often invisible, but working silently day after day to wear down the body. This is one of those cases where the harm only becomes obvious after long-term use. The good news is that there are easy and powerful alternatives. Extra virgin olive oil is one of the best choices, both for cold use and light cooking. Avocado oil, coconut oil, and even ghee butter, lactose-free, are more stable, nutritious options. The key is to avoid refined oils and choose cold-pressed ones that preserve beneficial compounds and drastically reduce the diet's inflammatory load. If you're seeking more vitality, less pain, and greater physical resilience, removing refined vegetable oils from your routine is essential. It's not about eliminating all fats, but choosing the right ones. Your body will respond with more lightness, less stiffness, and much more energy for your daily activities. Number 3. Processed meats, sausages, cold cuts, bacon. Dr. Tanaka always emphasizes that the type of protein you consume matters just as much as the amount. And that's especially true when it comes to processed meats, like sausages, cold cuts, and bacon. These foods are champions of convenience and flavor, but they have a corrosive, silent effect on muscles, joints, and connective tissues, especially after 60. What looks like a simple breakfast or snack ingredient might actually be speeding up your body's weakening process. These products are loaded with preservatives such as nitrites and nitrates, which give color, flavor, and shelf life. But inside the body, those substances turn into potentially carcinogenic and highly inflammatory compounds. The inflammation caused by these additives targets the joints, reduces flexibility, and interferes with muscle recovery, a critical issue at an age when natural regeneration is already slower. Another major villain is excess sodium. These foods are loaded with salt, which not only raises blood pressure but also causes fluid retention and worsens joint pain. The sodium overload also strains the kidneys and disrupts the body's mineral balance, which can directly affect muscle strength. Have you ever felt swollen fingers, heavy legs, or unexplained joint discomfort? The reason might lie in those meats. Additionally, the quality of the proteins in these products is poor. They're often made from reconstituted meat scraps mixed with starch, saturated fat, and additives for volume. The result is a food that looks like protein but offers little real benefit to your muscles. Eating this kind of meat while thinking you're feeding your body well is like fueling a car with adulterated gasoline. It might run, but it'll break down sooner. These foods are also linked to insulin resistance, which contributes to abdominal fat gain and loss of lean mass. And as we've already seen, maintaining active, strong muscles is key to aging with balance, independence, and protection against falls. Every meal based on processed meat is a missed opportunity to build real health. But you don't have to sacrifice flavor, just make smarter choices. Prioritize fresh meats, eggs, fish, or plant-based options, like chickpeas, lentils, and tofu. These foods truly nourish, provide complete proteins, and help the body stay firm, stable, and strong over time. Number 2. White sugar. Dr. Tanaka has made it clear many times, white sugar is one of the biggest saboteurs of muscle and joint health, especially after 60. It's present in desserts, bread, drinks, sauces, and even in foods that don't seem sweet at all. And even when consumed in small amounts daily, it triggers a chain of reactions in the body that go far beyond what most people imagine. What seems like a small pleasure might be slowing your recovery, aging your tissues, and draining your vitality. One of the first impacts is insulin dysregulation. White sugar is absorbed quickly, causing spikes in blood glucose. That forces the pancreas to release large amounts of insulin to rebalance levels. Over time, that constant strain leads to insulin resistance, a condition that promotes fat storage, reduces lean mass, and weakens muscles. In the long term, this also raises the risk of type 2 diabetes and silent inflammation that damages joints and tendons. Another negative effect of sugar is on collagen, the protein that keeps skin firm, tissues elastic, and joints healthy. Frequent sugar consumption promotes a process called glycation, which literally caramelizes collagen fibers, making them stiff and brittle. This speeds up skin aging, increases joint pain risk, and makes muscle recovery after physical effort harder. Furthermore, sugar is a powerful fuel for chronic inflammation. It feeds bad gut bacteria, disrupts the microbiome, and interferes with the absorption of essential nutrients like magnesium and zinc. When the gut doesn't function properly, the whole body suffers, Immunity drops, sleep worsens, and energy disappears. It's a domino effect that often starts with that innocent dessert after lunch. Another lesser-known issue is sugar's impact on muscle recovery. After 60, muscle tissue regeneration is already naturally slower. When there's too much sugar in the diet, the body prioritizes blood sugar control instead of muscle rebuilding. That means even if you exercise, muscle growth is limited and recovery is delayed. In other words, sugar cancels out much of the benefit from exercise. But cutting sugar doesn't mean giving up pleasure. You can use pure honey in small amounts, dates, dried fruits, and spices like cinnamon to sweeten dishes more naturally. The goal isn't to live without flavor, but to stop letting such a harmful ingredient steal your vitality day after day. Number 1. White bread and refined flours. If blood doesn't circulate well, nothing in the body works properly. That phrase from Dr. Tanaka stuck in my mind, and it's not hard to understand why. Circulation is the body's delivery system. It carries oxygen, nutrients, and hormones and removes toxins. But what few people realize is that certain foods silently sabotage that system. Among the main culprits, white bread and refined flours. They're present in many daily meals, but their effects on circulatory and muscular health are far more harmful than they seem. Through the refining process, white flour loses almost all its nutrients. Fiber, B vitamins, minerals like magnesium and zinc, everything is stripped away. What remains is pure starch, which digests quickly and causes spikes in blood sugar. Those spikes force the pancreas to release large amounts of insulin, disrupting metabolism and promoting visceral fat buildup, the kind that collects around organs and directly harms circulation. As a result, blood flow slows, becomes less efficient, and reduces oxygen delivery to muscles and joints. Have you ever felt your legs tingling after sitting for too long? Or noticed your hands and feet are often cold? Those are classic signs of poor circulation, and they might be worsened by the breads and refined pasta you eat daily. Excess blood sugar from these foods also damages blood vessel walls, causing microlesions that lead to chronic inflammation and arterial stiffening. Over time, this disrupts blood pressure and further limits the delivery of nutrients to your cells. And it doesn't stop there. When circulation is compromised, muscles don't get enough oxygen, reducing strength, endurance, and recovery after physical activity. At the same time, toxin buildup increases, creating fatigue, muscle pain, and a higher risk of injury. Blood stops fulfilling its essential role, and all of this can be worsened by that harmless morning bread. It's a seemingly small choice, but repeated daily, it sets up a dangerous pattern for your health. Fortunately, you can turn this around with smarter food choices. Replace white bread with true whole grain versions, rich in fiber, seeds, and ideally sourdough fermented, to stabilize blood sugar, reduce excess insulin production, and promote smoother circulation. Alternative flours like oat, rye, flaxseed, or almond flour also lower inflammation and promote satiety without burdening the cardiovascular system. It's also important to reconsider when you eat these foods. Simple breads and pastas at night, for example, not only affect sleep, but slow circulation even more, which is already naturally reduced during that time. Replacing that habit with foods rich in healthy fats, like avocado, extra virgin olive oil, or seeds, can significantly improve tissue irrigation and support muscle recovery during deep sleep. Aging well isn't just about keeping bones strong or muscles active. It's about making sure blood keeps flowing efficiently, nourishing every cell in your body. And that starts on your plate. White bread and refined flours are like sand in the gears of a machine that needs to run smoothly. When you remove that obstacle, the whole system starts working better. More energy, less pain, clearer thinking, and much more enthusiasm to move, smile, and live with lightness. Your blood is the fuel of your vitality, and you decide whether to keep that road clean or clogged. Choose foods that support flow, regeneration, and movement. Because when circulation is working well, everything improves, including your ability to age with strength, balance, and independence. And if you want to keep receiving the best videos for your health, subscribe to the channel because it exists for one reason only, to make you a healthier person with a better quality of life. Helping you is my mission. In the video now appearing on your screen, I reveal the drink that saves your heart. Click the screen and check it out.